Welcome to Vivid Verses. If our words resonate with you, please subscribe, tap the like, and share your thoughts and your feelings in the comments. Now let's begin.
The condensation on my bottle of Stella was the only thing keeping my temper cool. It was a humid Tuesday evening, the kind that stuck your shirt to your lower back and made the air taste like wet asphalt and cut grass. We were at the Miller's patio, Dave and Sarah, decent people, though Dave had a laugh that sounded like a seal choking on a mackerel. I was sitting on the edge of a wicker sectional that had seen better days, watching the fire pit flicker. Across the circle, my wife, Sienna, was holding court. She was 3 glasses of Pinot Grigio deep, her cheeks flushed that particular shade of pink that used to signal a fun night in bed, but lately just signaled a verbal firing squad. We'd been married 3 years. For 2 years and 9 months, it had been a partnership. For the last 3 months, it had been an audition where I was failing a role I didn't know I was playing. It started with the socks. Kieran leaves them around like dead rats, she'd joked at brunch. Then it was the job. Oh, he pushes pixels. I wouldn't call it design. Tonight, the air was thick with more than just humidity. The conversation had drifted inevitably to the jagged landscape of modern relationships. Sarah was complaining about Dave snoring. Dave was making good-natured jabs about Sarah's spending. Standard suburban warfare. Harmless. Then Sienna leaned forward. The stem of her wine glass looked fragile between her manicured fingers. She swirled the liquid, a predator circling a watering hole. Honestly, she said, her voice pitching up, that distinct cadence she used when she wanted everyone's eyes on her. I look at the dating market now, and I think, wow, the options. She paused for effect. I took a sip of beer. It was warm. I swallowed it anyway, tasting the bitterness at the back of my throat. I knew the rhythm of this song. I just didn't realize she was about to smash the instrument. She cast a glance at me. It wasn't affectionate. It was appraising, like a pawnshop owner looking at a fake Rolex. I think I could definitely do better, she said. She let out a short, sharp laugh. I mean, look at him. Maybe we should just break up. Let me loose on the wild world again. The silence that followed wasn't just quiet. It was a physical weight. Dave stopped mid-chew on a slider. Sarah's smile froze, looking like a rictus of social panic. The crickets in the hedges seemed to scream louder to fill the void. It was the kind of comment that sucked the oxygen out of a 10-foot radius. Sienna looked around, her grin faltering when she didn't get the laugh track she was expecting. She looked back at me, eyes widening slightly, waiting for me to play the doormat, to roll my eyes and say, "Oh, she's a handful." But something inside me didn't just break, it evaporated. The tether, that invisible steel cable that binds you to a person, that makes you endure the jabs and the moods and the bullshit because we're building a life. It just vanished. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel hurt. I felt a sudden, crystalline clarity. It was the feeling of walking out of a noisy factory into a silent snowfall. I set the beer bottle down on the glass table. The clink was the loudest sound in the neighborhood. I stood up. My knees popped slightly. I brushed a crumb from my jeans. "You got it," I said. My voice was steady. Baritone. No waver. No question mark. Sienna blinked. "What? You want to do better," I said, looking her dead in the eye. I didn't scowl. I didn't frown. I looked at her with the polite detachment of a stranger holding a door open. "You think we should break up?" "I agree. Let's call it." "Kieran, don't be," she started, a nervous giggle bubbling up. I was joking. God, everyone, he's so serious. "I'm not," I said. I looked at Dave. "Thank for the burger, Dave. Excellent seasoning." I turned and walked toward the gate. "Kieran," Sienna's voice cracked. It wasn't the voice of the confident wife anymore. It was the shrill sound of someone realizing the ground they were standing on was actually a trapdoor. I didn't look back. I walked down the driveway, the gravel crunching satisfyingly under my boots. I could hear the hushed, frantic whispering starting behind me, but it sounded like static. I reached my car, unlocked it, and slid into the leather seat. It smelled like old coffee in order. I didn't wait for her. By the time she took an Uber home, I was already done with the bedroom. I didn't throw things. I didn't sweep her cosmetics off the vanity in a rage. I moved with the efficiency of a crime scene cleaner. I took 2 suitcases from the attic. Into them went my clothes, the suits, the casual wear, the running gear. I packed my toiletries. I packed my laptop and the external drives. When the front door opened downstairs, I was zipping the second bag. I heard her heels on the hardwood. Click-clack, click-clack. Fast. Aggressive. She appeared in the doorway of the bedroom. She looked disheveled. The humidity had frizzled her blowout, and the wine had turned somewhat sour in her system. "Are you insane?" she demanded. She stood with a hand on her hip, trying to reclaim the dominance she'd had an hour ago. "Leaving me at the Miller's? Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was?" I lifted the suitcase off the bed and set on the floor. I checked the room one last time. Phone charger. Watch. Kieran. She stepped into the room, blocking my path. "Stop acting like a child. It was a joke. A bad joke, fine. But you making a scene was 10 times worse." I stopped and looked at her. Really looked at her. She was a beautiful woman. Dark hair, sharp eyes, a body that used to make my mouth water. But looking at her now, all I saw was the ugliness of the last 90 days. The snide comments, the eye rolls, the way she'd recoil slightly if I touched her while she was on her phone. "It wasn't a joke, Sienna," I said. "It was a stress test." And the bridge collapsed. "Oh my God." She threw her hands up. "You are such a drama queen. You're packing bags? Where are you going to go?" "The Motel 6. I'm going to the apartment on 4th, I said. She froze. "The rental?" We have tenants. Lease ended last week. I was going to list it on Monday. Now I'm not." I gripped the handle of the suitcase. I moved toward the door. She didn't move. "Move, Sienna." "No." She crossed her arms. Her scent hit me. Expensive vanilla and stale white wine. "You aren't walking out on a marriage because of one comment." "It's not one comment," I said, my voice dropping low and rough. "It's 3 months of you treating me like an accessory you regret buying. It's the disrespect. It's the contempt. I can handle anger. I can handle sadness. I will not handle being treated like something you scraped off your shoe." I stepped in her space. I didn't touch her, but I used my height. I loomed. For the first time that night, genuine fear flickered in her eyes. She realized that the calm man, the steady man, the man she thought she had on a leash, had slipped the collar. She stepped aside. "You'll be back tomorrow," she spat as I passed her. "You'll cool off, and you'll feel like an idiot." "I wouldn't hold your breath," I said. The first week was a masterclass in administrative violence. I didn't block her number. That would have been emotional. Instead, I let the calls go to voicemail. I responded to texts with one-word answers, and only if they pertained to bills or the house. "Sienna, this is ridiculous. When are you coming home for dinner?" "Me, I'm not." "Sienna, I'm sorry, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry I hurt your ego." "Me, read 8:14 p.m. I moved half the joint savings into my personal account. Exactly half, down to the cent. I canceled the share credit card I paid off every month. I had the utilities at the rental put in my name. I went to work. I hit the gym. I ate steak and drank good scotch in a quiet apartment that smelled like fresh paint and lemon oil. I slept in the middle of the bed. For the first time in 3 months, my chest didn't feel tight. She tried to escalate. She called my brother. He told her to fix her own mess. She called my mother. My mother, a woman who detected bullshit like a shark detects blood, told her that if I had left, I probably had a damn good reason. Sienna was discovering something painful. I was the structural integrity of her life. I managed the finances, I handled the maintenance, I planned the trips, I provided the emotional ballast. She was the kite, I was the string. She thought she was flying on her own, but she was about to realize gravity was a bitch. On day 10, she showed up at the apartment. It was raining, a gray, miserable drizzle against the city skyline. My buzzer rang. I checked the camera. It was her. She wasn't wearing her power outfit. She was wearing a hoodie I'd left behind and yoga pants. No makeup. I buzz her up. When I opened the door, she looked small, wet, shivering slightly. "Can I come in?" she asked. Her voice was thin. I stepped back, allowing her entry. I didn't offer to take her coat. She walked into the living room, looking around at the sparse furniture. "It's cold in here," she murmured. "I like it cool," I said. I leaned against the kitchen island, crossing my arms over my chest. "What do you want, Sienna?" She turned to me, tears welling up in her eyes. Real tears this time. The panic had set in. The silence in the big house, the unmanaged bills, the social humiliation of explaining where her husband was. It was crushing her. "I miss you," she said. "I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I was feeling insecure, okay? The girls were talking about their husbands, and I just wanted to seem independent. Aloof. I don't know. You wanted to humiliate me to elevate yourself," I corrected. She flinched. "I didn't mean it like that. Intent doesn't matter. Impact does." She walked toward me. She reached out, her hand trembling, and touched my forearm. Her fingers were cold. "Kieran, please. 3 years. You're going to throw away 3 years because I was a bitch at a barbecue." "I'm throwing away 3 years because you forgot who I was," I said. I looked down at her hand on my arm. I felt nothing. No spark. No warmth. Just the pressure of skin on skin. "You thought I was trapped. You thought you could chip away at me, and I'd just take it because I loved you. You calculated that my tolerance for your disrespect was infinite. You calculated wrong." She stepped closer, invading my space. She pressed her body against mine. I could feel the heat radiating off her. She looked up, desperate, her lips parting. "I can fix it," she whispered. "Baby, let me fix it. Come home. I'll do anything. I'll make it up to you. Tonight. Right now." She moved her hand from my arm to my chest, sliding it down over my stomach toward my belt. It was a clumsy, frantic move. She was trying to use the one currency she thought never devalued, her body. I caught her wrist. I didn't squeeze hard, just enough to stop her. "Don't," I said. "Why?" she choked out. "You don't want me anymore." "It's not about want," I said, removing her hand and dropping it to her side. "It's about the fact that I can't get hard for a woman I don't respect. And I don't respect you right now, Sienna. You show me your cards. You showed me that your loyalty is conditional on your audience." I walked around the island, putting the granite slab between us. "The funny thing is," I continued, my voice conversational, almost academic, "if you had come to me privately and said you were unhappy, we could have worked on it. If you had cheated, I might have even understood the mechanics of lust. But you mocked me. You laughed at me to a crowd of strangers to buy social credit. That's not a mistake. That's a character flaw." She stood there, hand hanging by her side, tears streaking down her face. She looked devastated. She looked like a child who had dropped a vase she was told not to touch. "So that's it?" she asked, her voice hollow. "You're just done?" "I'm done," I said. "I'll have the papers sent over next week. You can keep the house if you can refinance it in your name." "I don't want it." She stared at me for a long time. She was looking for the crack in the armor. She was looking for the anger she could manipulate, or the sadness she could comfort. But she found neither. She found a wall of smooth, polished indifference. "You're a bastard," she whispered. "I'm a man with standards," I replied, "and you failed to meet them." I walked to the door and held it open. "Goodbye, Sienna." She walked out into the hallway. The elevator dinged. She stepped in, and as the doors closed, I saw her slump against the metal wall, burying her face in her hands. I closed the door. I locked the deadbolt. Click. I walked back to the kitchen, picked up my glass of scotch, and took a slow, burning sip. The apartment was quiet. The rain tapped gently against the glass. It was the most peaceful sound I had heard in years. Thank you for listening. That brings today's story to a close. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. See you next time.